There's a portion of my life that you wouldn't recognize me today if it wasn't for that 2-year stretch of my life that was just devastating. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Welcome to the Commonwealth cabin. I'm leaving this shed today a little later than I usually do because I know I have a lot less to ship. We've had a slowdown in sales. It was really good, then it was really bad, then it was really good, then it was really bad. And well, I wouldn't say really bad. I think I've got 13 things headed out of here today, and that slowdown in sales combined with something that happened the other day, or yesterday, I think, had a big return. Somebody opened a return, they haven't shipped it yet. And I'm like, man, this really got me on tilt a little bit. And I've been hearing a lot from a lot of folks. This particular return was one that somebody said, hey, I found a better deal on. And I was going to address that topic that people have slowly been talking more and more about with this eBay possible rollout on a large scale of this price matching thing. But then I totally changed my mind when I started to read some comments from some of y'all. So, like I said, sales were kind of slow. I'll leave the door open so you can get out over the last couple of days. And one just came in, and so we're looking at like 6 sales a day the last 2 days, and that big return. So, I was like, holy moly, this isn't exactly how I want it to go. And you know what? That got me thinking along the lines of some things I want to talk about today and some of the comments y'all have made. Family Guy Living Room. This one has been around so long that it finally got on the 30% off sale, and it sold just I think it's right around $42 for that one. It's all pure profit at this point, plus shipping. So I did a video a while back where I had a couple of days just like this where the sales were kind of slow. And I got a lot of reaction from a bunch of folks. And of course, you know, typically when you do a video like that, a bunch of people come in and they want to kind of express solidarity because their sales are slow. And then you get some people come in and say, hey, man, this week's been great. This week's been amazing. And, you know, I watch a lot of social media. I'm on social media. And then I started to think back, you know, where I'm at now compared to where I was at 5-6 years ago, and really started digging into this a little bit and thinking about something. And I have this quote that I had screenshotted from, I don't even know where I saw it. I probably can't even properly attribute it, but I thought it was really appropriate. This dog is something else. Poncho likes to dig on the floor. He's trying to dig through the bottom of the shed, I guess. So let me read you the quote. The quote is, happiness is quality of life minus envy. I thought, that's an interesting one. And I think a lot of us fall prey to this, and I do from time to time myself. But in reality, I think that there's some folks out there that really just hate, if something's going wrong for them or not as well as they had expected, they really latch on to, and they almost resent the folks that are having success. And I think that's probably a mistake. They come up with reasons for for those people's success, and they take that and they kind of imprint on themselves and either view themselves as a failure or the system is somehow kind of rigged. I think both of those are really kind of the wrong way to look at things, and I think it's something that I wanted to talk about today. But I do have some sales that I'm going to show you today. The good news, even though the sales were down, the number of sales were down. The ASP was way up, mostly due to one particular sale. But, you know, even that, it's a solid little $42 sale, all pure profit. That thing's been paid off for a while. And so it's, you know, trying to look at the bright side of life. Look at, you know, the grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call just before I started filming today from an old buddy, and I'm going to kind of reference that too. I got to go out to the other shed, but Poncho, I thought was going to follow me, but I guess he said forget it. Like I said, we've been working in here, and I've been getting a ton of stuff up, and Jess has been doing stuff for the live auctions and stuff, and some of it I haven't even got back to the shed yet. This we bought, me and my dad bought this actually. We were at a sale and he was picking up stuff and I was picking up stuff, and it was an Atari flashback and he put it in the pile. I think we ended up paying $10 for it, but it was complete and everything was in good shape. So it's not a huge, I probably wouldn't have paid 10 for it, to be honest with you, but we got a ton of good stuff at that sale, or okay stuff I should say, so I'm happy with it. Even though it wasn't the best ROI necessarily, because it was $10 into $25 plus shipping. And then you put in labor and you turn everything on and check everything. It's not a huge money maker time-wise, but I'll take it, $25 plus shipping. So I guess I wanted to talk about some of the mental struggles that go on. And there's all kinds of those mental struggles for us resellers, especially now that social media is a lot of us who consume social media, it's a big part of it, right? You're out there looking at different people, either looking at people who are complaining about something, or, you know, whether it's something eBay's doing or some other platform, or blaming other folks for different things. And that's a real deal. Even in social media, you know, I look around because I talk to all these creators all the time, and, you know, I want to see how they're doing sales wise. But then I talk to a bunch of folks that I know that aren't creators, that are I can't believe I almost said that, real resellers. That's not Freudian, I swear. And I talk to them, and some of them are really struggling, and some of them are doing really well. And you see this in all aspects, not just of reselling, but in life, let's just face it. And so I started to look back kind of on my own, I hate the word journey, but it's been a journey. You know, I'm an older, I guess I'm not that old. See, I'm listening to Dave and Carrie too much. Speaking of, we actually talked about this topic a little bit on the podcast. I didn't say much. And I often don't say much, to be honest with you. There's a portion of my life that you wouldn't recognize me today if it wasn't for that 2-year stretch of my life that was just devastating. It was just a terrible time in my life. But I realize now that that's what shaped me. And I think in a much smaller way, it's times like this, you know, look, this isn't the end of the world having 6 sales a day. A lot of people are like, man, I'd love to have 6 sales a day. That's kind of the point here. Comparing yourself to other people oftentimes can really take away. I had a friend, actually, in that time period of my life, they told me a quote. They said, hey, pride stands sentry at the door to the heart and blocks out the love of God. In other words, you know, we can't ever enjoy the things that we do have and appreciate the things that we do have if our pride is getting in the way, and part of that is the envy of others. And you're going to have to forgive me for getting a little bit philosophical today, but after reading the comments from folks the other day, I felt like there's a certain portion of the community out there that kind of needs to hear it. And you know what? Sometimes I need to hear it too. Sold this right here. You probably saw me pick it up in a picker video not long ago. And I think there is a common denominator with some folks out there, and it has to do with the original goal of why we're doing this to begin with. This right here, I think I paid $100 for it. Maybe you guys remember that sale. Brand new, sealed in the package. Krupp's beer tender. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to pay $100, but shoot, I can't not pay $100 for something that's going to have a good sell-through rate and that sells for $265 plus shipping. So $165 in there after you take out fees and all this stuff. It's going to be a nice, well over $100 profit, I think. And all this got me thinking back to my teaching days, even back to my coaching days for that matter. And I started to think about my old AP World History class, which you're trying to cover you're trying to cover the entire history of the world, including social theories, economic theories, and everything like that. And I used to do a thing with my students when we talk about economics, when we get to the 19th and 20th centuries. And I would do this little exercise with them, and I would write something on the board. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But basically, we were looking at the major economic theories and major works, whether it's Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, or Das Kapital, or, you know, Marx, you know, of course, that was Marx, or even the Communist Manifesto. We talk about Keynesian economics. We even talk a little about Milton Friedman at the end. And so we'd get into all this discussion, and I would try to tie people's disposition towards any one of those social economic theory, or not just social economic theories, but economic theories, and tie it to their social worldview and tie it to their own personality type. And I think it's key for us to realize our own personality type and why we even gravitate towards certain people we watch, even resellers on YouTube. You know, there's certain resellers out there that will be, you know, hey, you know, look at this. You can make this much money, and this is how you do it, and everybody's revved out. And there's a certain personality type that gravitates toward them. And then there's somebody who's constantly complaining or whining and whatever about, I shouldn't say whining. They're always looking at the negative, right? And people gravitate towards that. And it's really a personality type. I try not to do either of those, even though sometimes I do both. Because I really try to appeal to people who are like me, who do this because they just absolutely love it. Now, of course, money's part of the equation. That's part of the reason why I love it, right? If I wasn't making money at doing this, I wouldn't love it as much. So that is part of the equation. So I guess I never actually told you what I write on the board that would get them thinking in this direction. This is a tiny Starbucks mug, And as you can see, Starbucks, well, I had a ton of them in there. They've sold off over time, but they're not big money makers. This one is a California one, and I don't even remember where I got it, to be honest with you. But it sold for $17 plus shipping. And let me get back to my story. You know, Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living, and that's kind of the way I'm looking at this. You know, our personalities really do drive a ton of stuff, and our personalities can change. It's not easy. Mine completely changed. If you would have saw me, you would not believe. I should pull out some of the old video of me being a baseball coach. And I loved those days. Those days were amazing, especially the early days of doing it. But I'm a completely different person, and there were certain things that happened in my life that totally changed my mindset. And I look back at those days and just am so incredibly thankful for those, because I am where I'm at now because of the way I think. And the way I think completely changed. And part of that was envy. That really held me back. Let me go grab one more thing, and I promise you I'll tell you what I used to ask my students, and I'll ask you and have you think about it as well. Maybe y'all can argue about that in the comments. This is it right here. It's an Eddie Bauer. It's a Canon camera. I don't remember the model number on this one. I don't really want to open it either, so I'm going to go read it to you really quick. It is a PowerShot SX150, and I paid $10 for this one, and it sold for $70 plus shipping. And let me tell you, cameras have been selling really good for us lately as well. So I used to ask the question. I used to write it on the board and have people think about it before they gave their answer, and then not be influenced by their peers. They'd give their answer on a piece of paper, and then once it was passed up, we'd have them raise their hands and do whatever. So I used to ask them, hey, would you rather work in a company that the average salary was $200,000 a year and your salary was $100,000 a year? All things being equal in these two scenarios, by the way. In other words, there's no inflationary concerns. A dollar has the same buying power in both scenarios. Rather work in a company where you make $100,000, but the average salary in the company is $200,000, or would you rather work in a company where the average salary was $50,000 and your salary was $75,000? And I know what my answer is to that, and there's no doubt about it 100% of the time which one I would take. But roughly 40% of my classes chose the lower salary to work in a company because they had the highest salary or one of the highest salaries in that company, as opposed to working in a company that has a $200,000 salary and them making it $100,000. So they were willing to sacrifice $25,000 a year in order to have a status that was higher amongst their peer group. Whew. That's an issue. That also got me thinking about Reddit a little bit, which I've talked about before. I got to thank Gene, I think it's Gene, for buying plans for the Commonwealth Picker shipping table over on CommonwealthPicker.com. As you know, if you've been watching this show for quite a while, I do get, I say put on tilt, it's old poker lingo, when people are very critical of me when I think it's unfair. And I know that's a weakness of mine, and I envy people who really could give a rip about what other people think about them. I wish that were me, and I think I'm becoming more and more that way as I get a little older, which is really nice. And, you know, my dad is much more like that, right? And there's a quote, this world is not made for those who are cursed with self-awareness. And I am very self-aware of the way other people think of me. And it is a weakness. It is not a strength. However, having some of that is probably a good thing because you're not annoying to people out there. But I'm rambling again. So I told you this would be a rambling video. We only have 13 sales. So, hey, I got to talk about something, right? And oftentimes somebody will send me a link to something over on Reddit where they're just absolutely crushing me, or a friend of mine or something like that. And, you know, I don't take that stuff to heart like I used to. But it does make me think more about the other person now than it ever did. In the past, it was about me, right? How could they say something about me? And at this point, I realize, you know, it is psychology. And really, and people have said this in my comments down there, and I think this is true for a lot of folks out there as well, even in your own family. If you're having success doing something reselling-wise, Pepper's in here, they don't embrace it and they're not happy for you. That says a lot more about them than it does about you. And I think there is a certain segment of the population, I think they gravitate towards Reddit, by the way. I don't think they gravitate towards YouTube too much, which is cool. It means this is a community of like-minded folks who are all trying to better their lives in some way. I think we should just caution against looking at other folks. Because even for me, during this slow period, I watched social media constantly while I'm working. I sit out there in the chair and I list, or I'm out there in the shed. It's always on. That's why I got TVs everywhere. I like it. And sometimes you hear that success when you're not having success, and it hits a little harder. I did make a Mercari sale, which is cool. A little Roddy White Falcons jersey. And I took an offer because, a low offer actually, $32 plus shipping, because there are no fees over there. So I took it. I started thinking about goals a little bit, and how your original intent, how your goal really drives what you do and how you react to other people. And you know, fear is one of those things. And when I quit my job, fear was a major motivating factor for me, because I didn't want to fail for multiple reasons. But the secondary part of that, and fear, by the way, if that's your motivation, it dissipates over time if you're successful. If you're not successful, it only ramps it up. But if your other motivation is out of pure envy or jealousy of something or somebody, then usually that never dissipates. That always drives you, and you never feel that contentment ever. So I think, you know, setting goals and having a good idea of what that goal, when do you reach that goal, and how you act as you're trying to achieve that goal. And sometimes goals can move. I'm not saying they can't move, but it gives you a sense of contentment along the way, as long as you're progressing. But when you take one step back, sometimes it doesn't always kind of give you what you need to keep pushing you forward. So really, the idea of contentment in what we have is really something I think we all overlook. And it causes us to look at other folks and look at how other people are doing for somehow either validation. And if you don't get that validation because they're out succeeding you or something, I think our perspectives need to change. And mine has changed drastically over the last 10 years, really. Probably 15, to be honest with you, but especially over the last 2 or 3 years, because I have experienced a ton of success. And I've tried to figure out a way to allow myself to enjoy that success and to continue to move forward. And when things like this happen and things slow down and things aren't going quite the right way, it's just a matter of mindset and perspective. And that's what I've been doing. I'm like, hey, I have more time. I have more time because it's only going to take me a little bit of time to ship 12 things out as opposed to 27. And the ASP is higher. I'm talking to myself, self-talk, right? Where the money is still good, even though we have a setback with the return. What can I do with my time, with my energy, and with my mind that'll keep me moving in the right direction and allow me to be content? And, you know, when I look out there, I see a tennis ball flying. My boy's throwing the ball up against the wall while I'm sitting out there on my chair, by the way. And content with the success, it also allows you to be happy for other people who are succeeding around you. You might hear that tennis ball popping out there. So another Camaro keychain. I think we're down to 25 of these Z28s. And these go for 15 bucks, free shipping. Sold another Black Rifle coffee mug. This is the grenade style. And you gotta be careful selling grenade stuff. Sometimes they make stuff out of real old grenades, and you can't sell those on eBay. But this is a coffee mug, for goodness sake. And this is the second tier up. Been selling some, I bought them all for $5 a piece. Been selling some for 14 plus shipping. These are selling for 19 or 20, I can't remember, plus shipping. And then I have some at 22, I think, and $24.95 in a box as well. So should do pretty good because there's like 5 listings total, or 4, I can't remember. And they're multi-quantity. So I took that deal for sure, and we're going to make some good money on it. So, of course, one of the things I read often is, you know, viewer sales drive this, and I wouldn't be a successful reseller and all that. And we've gone over that before. I want to talk about the mindset of somebody who says that. Look, it's true. There are viewer sales. There's no doubt. But think about this here, right in this little category here. There's no messages on any of these. That doesn't mean they're not viewer sales. I suspect one of them is actually, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But it's an excuse by some people to say, I can't succeed unless I have this or do this. Look, I know tons of resellers out there, tons of them who don't have viewer sales because they don't have social media. They find a way. It's their mental mindset that gets them to accomplish their goals. And some things, let's face it, are just completely out of our control. You know, the month of May is traditionally my slowest month, and it looks like it will be again this year. But, you know, if I take that and I just go humdrum and I just, you know, I can't do anything, and I had this return the other day, then I'm not ever going to reach a good month in June. And all you can do is, well, you can do a few things, and I don't want to get into those because that's not what this video is about. But in my mindset, it's like, okay, I have more time to list. I was out there, I listed more things the last 2 days than I have in a long time because I had more time because the shipping was going to take a lot less time. I did some organization stuff. I repaired some back-end listings that I made mistakes on. Thanks to some of you out there, by the way, who sent me messages saying, hey, you misspelled this. It's like, cool, thank you. Everybody should have that. It should be helpful going over those old listings. And I spent time with my boy and my daughter. And I spent time in that chair back there, which is really what gives me contentment. You know, I've said this before. I've had an incredible amount of success, and I'm incredibly grateful. I got a call from a buddy of mine that is now coaching the high school baseball team that I used to coach. And it took me back to all those incredible moments. And I was kind of jealous of him a little bit. I'm like, man, I so would like to be coaching that group of kids. They got a chance to go to states. The last time that happened, man, I was 20-some years old coaching that team. It's been a long, long time. But I wasn't jealous of him. I just wanted to experience it myself. I was incredibly happy for him because he's experiencing those things that I used to experience. But I wasn't always like that. When I quit coaching, I didn't go back to... As a matter of fact, I've never been back to that field. Not one time to watch a ball game. And I'm at a point in my life now where I'm totally ready to go back and to watch them succeed. And what kept me from going back to that field and enjoying watching my old team play was the fear that they would accomplish something that I wasn't able to, that I quit before I was able to accomplish, which was winning that state championship, which back then meant everything to me. It was my passion. But now I realize that that is just totally the wrong mindset to have if you want to have a happy life. And, you know, I watch these professional sports teams, and as soon as they win a championship, they're already talking about the next one and what they got to get back to work. And that's a good thing. No, don't get me wrong. But at some point, you have to have contentment. So here we go. These are Turnlock connectors. I bought these. There was 3 of them at a sale, and she wanted $5 a piece, and I offered her, I think 3 for $12 or something like that. I can't quite remember. I didn't think they'd be a huge winner, so I didn't have to, but I wouldn't have picked them up to 5 into 15 a piece, or $16.95 or whatever they were. I can't remember. But somebody bought them together, and so I got $8 into this, sold for $34 plus shipping. Not a terrible little profit. Worth picking up on a slow day picking. And the other thing, as far as mindset goes, one thing that I always do as well is I work on something else. I continue to work on eBay because it's my passion and just straight reselling, if you will. But I've also had more time to work on things that I'm passionate about, trying to build that Dibd platform, which has been pretty successful for us lately. Matter of fact, I might run over the Dibd numbers at the end of this. And, you know, the live selling that Jess is handling and all that. We've been shipping and selling like crazy out of here. It just hasn't been our traditional eBay sales. So I'm never going to give up on this type of reselling because I think it's where you get the biggest bang for your buck. But to be able to diversify and to work on other platforms and to do stuff like that is a way for me to continue to have success in the long term, no matter what happens to any one single platform. And I think that that is something that is becoming more of a reality for more of us resellers. It's also becoming more of a hurdle for some resellers. Some people would rather quit than do that. And I understand that too. Hey, I quit coaching baseball at some point. And it was when I made a decision that I wouldn't get the contentment, the joy. I would have regrets for not being with my family. It took up a ton of time. And so you got to weigh those things out. And you can't let pride be a part of that decision. And I let it be a part of that decision for 2 years longer than it should have been. I think that mindset kind of is true of a lot of us. Matter of fact, I've got a point to make about this, but I bought this Tippmann, actually bought a whole bin full of paintball stuff at a sale the other day. They said it was like $30 a piece for the guns. There were 3 of them, and then a whole ton of other stuff, or take everything for $50. And I took everything for $50. There's probably $300 worth of stuff in there. This one is the first one to sell, and it sold for $50 plus shipping. So we haven't quite regained our money, but we're close. All right, y'all, Reagan's here, and she just stole a drink out of my Coke. I saw you do that, by the way. I wasn't going to open it yet, but I'll forgive you. What do you got?
Morgan got 2 trash cash bags, and James got a CWP sticker.
2 trash to cash IKEA style bags. And he got a what? A sticker?
And James got a sticker.
What sticker?
It just
CWP.
CWP.
There you go. That one right there. And we appreciate that. And the Trash to Cash bags are outselling the Commonwealth picker bags with the Trash to Cash logo on it, though.
Wow.
Isn't that terrible? Don't tell Dave and Carrie. Thank you, baby.
Bye, and don't forget to get your stickers at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Hey, y'all, I want to do a giveaway today. We're going to give away a My Reseller Genie bag and a My Reseller Genie 1 month free. So please don't enter it unless you want to give it a shot, because you're going to get 1 month free. Or should we do two different? Let's do them together. And they are amazing folks over there, and we really appreciate them supporting us and supporting you guys. Their service is incredible, and some of you may need it. If you ever do use code Commonwealth, you get 15% off if you do. We appreciate that. And there's you can start at any time. They'll go back to January 1 and pull all that info for you and put it in a great spot. ABC Matt has always been a friend of the program and a nice, super nice guy. He's in the Trash Cash Discord over there, and we've got a chance to know him. And he sent me one of the Tupperware keychain pill cases, which I've only ever found one, I think, of all time. And if you ever find a box of these, grab them. They can sell individually, and they can sell in lots for really, really good money. So if you ever see those out there, pick them up. Thank you, Matt. And y'all go check out his YouTube channel right there. All right, really quickly, I want to mention a couple more things. And part of that, we get opinions on something that's new sometimes, and then it's hard for us to get out of that way of thinking. And I have seen a lot of people lately who used to just trash these other sites. And people jokingly trash like Bonanza and stuff. But I used to hear that about Mercari way back in the day, and about Poshmark as well. And now I see so many people selling on multiple platforms because it's just a different reselling landscape than it used to be. And of course, people still trash live selling sites like Whatnot, and people who sell on them as well. And I feel like, I think things are changing. I can just feel it. I can see people who used to do that kind of stuff who I now see selling on different platforms and see embracing different ideas. I actually credit folks like Dave and Carrie and Flip the World and Tim over the years, and Sharon, all those guys who kind of, sometimes it's difficult to take a step out and do something a little different. And while it may not all be, the land of milk and honey and everything is great and whatever, I think having these options is important. And to be honest, I was kind of like that at one point too. I'd see the success of somebody like Josh, Harry Tornado, or somebody like that, and I just, man. And look, everybody's not everybody else's cup of tea. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I got to a point where it was very easy for me to allow people in my own mind to succeed in the way that they want to succeed, and to do the things that they want to do and embrace. There's all kinds of resellers. There's some of you with the mentality out there, you want to build a reselling empire and sell $5 million worth of goods a year and run it all. And that is not me, not in any stretch of the imagination. I just want to continue doing what I'm doing and to grow it and to create hedges around some parts of it and to expand some parts of it. And that's just me. And there's people who are just retired and want to sell for fun. And they look at all of us and they're laughing and they're like, this is just fun, because they don't need the money. And then there are some people who depend on reselling to pay their bills every single week. And you have a bad week like this for me, and it's, it's a pretty good week because the ROI is pretty high. So I'm not complaining. But man, if I had to depend on that to pay my bills this week, I'd have a totally different mindset. So allowing people to be where they're at and to not criticize as much I think I'm seeing more of it for sure. And I wanted to give you those Dibd numbers as well, because boy, when I came out doing this district thing, I said this could be slow growth, but it's going to be fun and it's going to be a challenge. I decided to do it with Dave and Carrie because I still wanted to reserve my time, most of my time, to be able to do what I've always loved. And boy, people came out after me with knives, and other folks too. And while I knew that doing something like that might turn off a certain part of my audience, and that's perfectly fine. That's kind of my point here, is that, people need to find what they love and do what they love. And there'd be a learning curve on this district thing. Our marketplace is Dibd.com. And ours would be a little bit different because it's more niche down. It's mostly pop culture. A lot of we expanded. We've allowed quite a bit of things to be sold over there. But, I knew it would be a learning curve because it's such a different type of site and it's more collaborative. But I wanted that. I wanted something like that in my life. That's kind of the part of baseball that I'm missing, right? That group effort for something. And if you watch my content, you kind of get that I love that stuff. I like to go picking with other people. I like to do collaborations and stuff. And that's not what all people like, and that's fine too. But I said I'd give an update. So I breached the $10,000 in sales, most of that coming this year, a little bit last year at the end, and we are ramping it up. We're going to have our best month ever. First month with over $10,000 in sales. It's not grown as fast as I wanted to, but the last month has really, really grown. We're going to have over $10,000 in sales this month over there, static and live, most of it live. And a lot more people are coming over there. I'm approving stuff a lot more for other sellers as well. And it's not for everybody. And there is a learning curve from it. But it's been fun. And it's been cool to have a place that you have some control over instead of just complaining about other places. So anyway, I thought I'd give you an update on that. Thank y'all for coming over and joining. If you do come over and join Dibd as a member, then I would appreciate it if you'd follow me because I'm chasing after Dave. He did a giveaway for followers, and he's passed me. Maybe I should do that. Anyway, appreciate it. See, that's that jealousy coming through. But it's not really. I mean, let's face it. Look, Dave's a friend of mine. I know he turns off a lot of folks, but he's a good guy at heart. And I'm happy for his success. I'm happy to see people succeed on social media. I'm not, the kind of person who thinks that somebody else's success determines my future. It just doesn't. And anyway, I'm rambling on. Appreciate you listening to me today. I picked this up. I almost didn't pick it up. It was at a sale. It was a quarter, and it's the old Ertl Tractor International. But if you notice, it doesn't have a little smokestack at the front and the steering wheel. And I'm like, for a quarter, I'm not leaving it here. Sold it for $19 plus shipping. So it's a little late tonight, but I had another sale just come across. I have a few more actually, but I'm not shipping them out till tomorrow. But I wanted to get this one done tonight because somebody said they have a gig on a certain date. And I said, all right. And I wanted to reclaim this space inside. This Fender amp sold for, it's got a missing knob right there. Sold for, what did it sell for? $89.95 plus shipping. All right, y'all, Turner has a Commonwealth quote right here. And he doesn't like this because I wrote it. And what did you say about my writing?
It's horrible.
It's horrible. It is pretty horrible. But you can try to read it anyways. What do you got?
Okay. A heart of peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones.
I love it, buddy. Thank you. You about ready to go to baseball practice? All right, we're going to go in about 20 minutes, okay?
Okay. Bye.
So thank you to everybody for allowing me to do a different type of video. I just felt like I needed to today. Maybe for me, I don't know. Maybe for you, and maybe for none of you out there. I'm not quite sure. But maybe someday I'll get to talk about that part of my life that I was I'm so thankful for those difficult times because it truly did transform the way I thought about everything. It was painful to go through it. Very painful, but maybe someday we'll talk about it. We'll see. But let me know, what do you do out there when times are slow? What do you do when you feel that envy, when you're looking at other people, whether it's on social media or people you know? Maybe it's just people you pick with all the time and you see out there and they found that good find and you didn't find it. Does it put you on tilt, if you will? We talked about it on the Trash to Cash podcast the other day. I think it's important for sure. So anyway, thank you again, and I can't wait to see you next time.